YouTube Ozzico in the Goat House is back, and it's playoff time. Really excited for the loads of playoff content that we got on the way, starting with this one, my full playoff predictions going round by round all the way through the Super Bowl. And of course, we'll have our weekly playoff picks, weekly score predictions for all the playoff games, going to rank all the playoff teams. It's off-season mode for half the fan bases here. We got you covered for that as well. I'm going to have an updated mock draft later today. Maybe it's already up by the time you're listening to this. So really excited about what we got coming here. Very important to follow our Twitter. It's on your screen as a link pinned in the comments. Live news, rumors, updates. Our subscribers / super followers on Twitter get bonus content. Going to be involved in upcoming videos here as well. Just a lot going on there. So check out that Twitter. Check out our sponsors. There's links pinned in the comments for those as well. GLD Shop, which I'm rocking their Tampa Bay Bucks chain here. All kinds of jewelry, different NFL team pendants. Liquid IV, code GOAT on both those sites. And Walk the Mock. It's a mock draft simulator you can have a lot of fun with. Code GOATHOUSE50 for a whopping 50% off. Links pinned in the comments. And here's our Twitter. So something our subscribers on Twitter are already getting. You're voting for each playoff game, and you'll have a pick. The winner of those votes will have a pick in our weekly picks videos. And more involvement in upcoming videos. You're going to vote for awards and things like that as well. But everybody on Twitter getting a lot of these news, rumors, updates, looking at the coaching, defensive coordinator opening job for the Browns, head coaching, firings, who's staying, things like that. So it's a must follow there. Our Twitter is a link pinned in the comments for that. So going on to the playoff predictions, there's your bracket looking pretty good. A lot of the same teams we're used to, but some new teams there obviously as well. And there's a lot of games that can go either way. And again, we'll go more in depth about my picks in our weekly picks video for the wild card round and every week, and then our score predictions video as well. We're kind of going over the full bracket here. This is kind of what everyone wants to see first as the playoffs are set. But first, we'll start with I got the Bengals beating the Ravens. It's going to be a little bit different than the last week's game because the Ravens, had Anthony Brown in there, obviously. Will Lamar Jackson come back? It feels like he should be able to, or you would hope so at least. But I do have the Bengals at home taking care of business. They're on fire right now. Ravens, haven't played too great against the better teams there. I'm gonna trust the Cincinnati Bengals a little bit more at home. And I'm going to go with the Bills over the Dolphins, still trying to figure out if Tua's going to play. The Dolphins did beat them the first time. In the last time they played them just a few weeks ago, it looked like they had them. Even in Buffalo, in the snow, night game, it looked like the Dolphins had them. So maybe that could be a sneaky one. Dolphins are pretty beat up. Bills are beat up as well. But we saw last year, the Bills had a problem with the Patriots one week they played them last year. You get in the playoffs, it's a whole different game. The Bills just demolished them. So it's just playoff football. It's a little different. The Bills will have the best game plan possible. So got them winning as well. The tough game in the AFC is the Chargers and the Jags. I'm not really going to pay attention to the game they played earlier this year. I can't really base things off that. But the Jags did beat them up pretty good in that game. Both teams got better since. So here we are heading into the wild card round. Jacksonville at home against the Chargers. Both teams, again, got a lot better. Could go either way. Two good young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence. Quarterback play is huge in the playoffs. So for that reason, you almost want to side, even though they're both great, want to side a little bit more towards Justin Herbert. Mike Williams, they get a little beat up. We're still waiting to hear more on him in that game yesterday. So that's pretty tough. I don't want to overthink things. The more I think about this, the more I realize there's a game plan or matchup issue here that sides towards one team. And you look at what the Jags been doing recently. Trevor Lawrence has really been getting going, and the receivers been getting going, especially Christian Kirk and Evan Engram as well, a tight end that's pretty damn athletic, and that Doug Peterson offense, really getting the most out of these guys. So you have the game plan for that passing attack based on what the Jags have been doing recently, and they've been playing pretty good defense, but something the Chargers really struggle to do is stop the run. So I think the focus may be on that passing attack, where I think ETN could have a massive day in that running back group on the ground. So I think there's multiple ways the Jaguars could win. The Chargers, how they win is really spread the football. They need Mike Williams to play, but really, distribute the football, make Keenan Allen a problem for the defense, make Eckler a problem, Everett, Mike Williams, if he plays. That is how the Chargers can win this game, get the most out of your quarterback, who is an elite quarterback there. But I think there's more ways, especially at home, the Jaguars could win. I'm feeling them at the moment. It's kind of a 50-50 game, though. So you see the teams I have moving on. Jags, and they'll go on and play the Chiefs. And I have the Bengals-Bills, which should be an absolute showdown there in the next round. But looking at the NFC, We'll reveal, it's kind of the same thing we did at AFC. I got the Niners winning, very confident with that. Seahawks, not as good as they were earlier in the year, and it's a bad matchup for them playing the San Francisco 49ers, because the Niners got the best defense in football. The Seahawks win with offense, and they take the ball away on defense, but Niners are going to take care of the football. They're going to pound the football, run the clock. They're going to play good defense. It'd be a shocker to me if the Seahawks win. Vikings and Giants is a little different. I think that can even go either way. They played each other a couple weeks ago. It was a close game. Giants blitzed a lot like they always do in that game. Cousins was kind of just getting the ball off, getting into his playmakers. But the Vikings offensive line is more beat up than that last time. They're down to their third center unless Bradbury comes back, and they're without, Brian O'Neill at right tackle, who's actually one of the better right tackles in football. So the Giants are going to blitz the crap out of Kirk Cousins, and that really could be the difference from last time to this time. It's going to be a little bit easier to get home because the beat up at the offensive line. Just more and more I think about it, though. The Vikings just got more playmakers. They're more talented right now. I do worry about the offensive line. I'm going to trust Kirk Cousins more than Daniel Jones. I think those playmakers make that extra play, so I don't want to overthink things too much on that one. I'm going to go Vikings, but I can see it either way. Cowboys and Bucks ends up being the toughest game because the Cowboys are playing worse football right now than they were earlier in the year. Maybe they're trying to save some stuff for the playoffs, but based on what they've shown me in the playoffs recently, especially last year, is things kind of stay the same with them. Like, they can't get over that hump. They get outplayed, outcoached in the playoffs, in the big games. You have an experienced guy like Tom Brady on their other side at home. They started playing a little bit better recently. The Cowboys also struggle on grass. They're 1-4 on grass. They just lose those games for some reason. This one's going to be on grass in Tampa, so that is a big factor. This game, actually, to me, just like the other 4-5 game, is a 50-50 game. But I got to go with the Dallas Cowboys. This is a much better team this year. The Buccaneers are just not the same as what they were in the past. They're struggling. They're beat up on the offensive line. Cowboys a little beat up right now too. But the main factor here is the Cowboys pass rush led by Micah Parsons should get home, and get after Tom Brady. And I think the way to beat the Cowboys is run first, open everything else up. Buccaneers really aren't great at running. They don't like to run. So I think that favors the Cowboys a little bit. The matchup says Cowboys. The Cowboys are the better team. If they lose this, it's because they have a real problem, on grass. Tom Brady factor, the experience factor kicked in, and the Cowboys maybe just can't do it in the playoffs. So I'm really going to lose all hope for future playoff games for them if they lose this one. But they could. It could go either way. I think Bulls will have a good game plan defensively. It'll probably be a defensive game. It'll probably be, there'll probably be some explosive plays here and there, but that's going to be a good one, actually. I think the 2-4-5 is going to be a good one. I think the Giants-Vikings is going to be a good one. We move on to the next round. We see two winners that I have in the next round. I have the Chiefs beating the Jags. It's crazy to think the Jags can win one playoff game. It's realistic. I think that is the limit. I don't think they're quite there. They're quite ready yet. It's a good team. I love the future on that team. I do not think they get by the Chiefs. I don't think the Chargers would either. Again, that Chargers-Jags game is 50-50. And then I got the Niners over the Vikings. The Vikings can very well lose in the first round. They got to go to San Francisco in the second round. The Vikings do have an explosive offense. Maybe they can. Maybe it's just an offense the Niners, they haven't seen yet this year. Maybe it's just it's going to be an interesting battle. Maybe it's just an offense that's just going to score points regardless of the defense. I don't know about that, though. I think the Niners not going to stop them, and they can limit them enough, and they'll be able to move the ball on the Vikings defense, who isn't the strongest in the playoffs. So I'm confident with the Niners there, even if it was in Minnesota, but the Niners did win that 2 seed, so they get to be home even better in that game. And then to check out the other games here, I got the Eagles over the Cowboys, just not trusting the Cowboys, past them. They could win the game. They could. So I'm not saying guaranteed, but I'm not really going to trust them. It's difficult to fully trust them in the first round, but I'm going to do that. It's difficult to trust them past that. And I'll take the Eagles at home, well rested. They'll have a good game plan, ready for this game. I think Hurts is too much of a problem. Hurts, A.J. Brown, these guys just too much of a problem for the Cowboys. Probably a very high-scoring game. I'm going to trust the Eagles there, so we'll see the Eagles and the Niners in an NFC Championship matchup. Bengals-Bills is so 50-50. I'm back and forth on this one. The Bills... the Bills, if they had Von Miller, I feel actually it's a big difference. Having Von Miller be a huge difference in this game because I think he'd be able to get to the quarterback, get to Joe Burrow against that weaker offensive line. But now the way the Bills sit is kind of like how they've been in the past, where it's that they got some ball players in the defensive front, but man, can they consistently get after the quarterback to win those big games? Can they do it enough? And that's really how you beat the Bengals. It's the easiest way to beat the Bengals if you have a dominant pass rush. The Bills won't have that without Von Miller. So the Bengals should be able to, have a solid outing on offense there. But but the Bills do have that zone defense, which sometimes the Bengals struggle against. Not struggle, but sometimes that's what slows them down a little bit. That very solid zone defense, but they are a little thin in the secondary. Obviously the Bills, but Bengals, it's tough. If they got that home field advantage this one, I'd probably go with the Bengals. But I'm feeling the Bills this one. It's just a 50-50 game though. I can kind of change my mind on that at any given time. I like that both these teams are kind of they are a pass-first team, but they're sneaky on the ground game. The Bengals with Mixon and Pirine, and then the Bills have been sneaky decent recently with the ground game as well. Getting Singletary going. Do they unleash Cook a little bit more? We saw that a little bit recently as well. I think the difference in this one, maybe Josh Allen using his legs, but this is such a 50-50 game. Would be such a good game. If it was in Cincy, I'd go Bengals. That's how close it is. So that's a tough part there. But then Chiefs and Bills, which would be a neutral site game, and then you got Eagles and 49ers. For the Chiefs and Bills, probably would be an epic shootout like we usually get. For Niners and Eagles, I don't know. I think that one's tough to figure out what the score would be. I think maybe a little bit more of a defensive game. The Niners having the best defensive football. The Eagles defense doesn't look as good lately as it was earlier in the year. Pass rushing to be a little bit better, probably due to injuries or kind of just wear. Maybe that's the difference there. But they are getting, recently, getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, getting some guys back there. So that'd be a really good game. But it's so tough to pick that Eagles-Niners game because Purdy. Every year we remember, we knew quarterback was important, but yes, it showed even more how important it is in the playoffs. All it takes is for one game, maybe it's the first game, probably not for the Niners, or that second game, or the third game, or maybe the Super Bowl, that Purdy just kind of plays like a rookie quarterback, a last pick of the draft rookie quarterback, and just makes some brutal mistakes that he hasn't really made yet, but it's possible that it could happen, and then they just lose the game if that happens. So that's why it's pretty tough to pick the Niners, because quarterback is that important, especially in this era. But I love that defense, and their offense actually looks better right now. They're finding different ways to score, and they really wear you out. I'm going to stick with my prediction that I've had most of this year in the Chiefs and the Niners advancing. I don't want to say I'm really confident with the Chiefs. It could be Chiefs, Bengals, Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, any of those teams I can see coming out. But I am somewhat confident with the Chiefs here. I think the Bills are a little thin in the secondary, obviously. No Von Miller, and they got to go through the Bengals still. And they got to go through the Dolphins, who they struggle with this year. And the Chiefs a little bit easier of a ride there. And I just love that offense. They beat you in so many different ways. I think Jerick McKinnon's an X factor here. I think the way they're getting him involved is just making the game plan so much tougher. And I still think they have a little more tricks up their sleeves that they're kind of saving. So I like the Chiefs here. The defense is playing a little better too. I like the pass rush. That's mainly where it's getting better. But the young secondary as well, guys like Trent McDuffie, some of these young guys in the secondary, and guys like Juan Thornhill are getting better as well. So I think the linebackers, getting a little bit better too. So I'm somewhat confident with the Chiefs there. Niners-Eagles is close to a 50-50. The reason I almost want to go Eagles, they've been the best team during the regular season always win though, but they've been that team. Dealing with Hurts is just another challenge, because there's so much to game plan for. And him and A.J. Brown are fairly new of a connection, so they could continue to get even better. And then picking Purdy to go to the Super Bowl is pretty tough. He's played great, but it's pretty tough because it's a quarterback-driven league right now. But my thinking is, and the Niners defense can really slow the Eagles down, and I think they'll still be able to score because the Eagles defense has not been as good. Maybe it picks it back up. So I think the Niners will have multiple ways to score there. So I'm going to go Chiefs-Niners, which looks familiar. We've seen that not too long ago. And I'm just going to be more confident with the Chiefs in this game. Can Purdy? I think Purdy can I think he can win the Super Bowl. I really do. Saying that out loud, it's like, really? Do I really think that? At the same time, the Niners are so good, which I think they can win the Super Bowl. But, is he really, going to get by the Seahawks? Yes. But then the Vikings, and I think so. And then the Eagles, or whoever the teams are. It's not going to be, every pick's not going to be right, maybe. But, and then get by the Chiefs. It's hard to pick it. I could see it, again, but it's difficult to pick it. I'm just going to trust the Chiefs. They had success against that Niners defense during the regular season. Maybe it's just too much. Or maybe that game meant nothing. You know, a lot of time that's the case there. But and the defense has gotten a lot better. They'll actually play tight in coverage as well. You know, maybe cause Purdy some issues here in this huge stage of a Super Bowl. You got to wait that extra week. It's just a totally different game than the rest of the playoffs. You know, we heard Tom Brady talk about it. We just know that's how it is. So I'm going to trust the best player in football here in Patrick Mahomes, and then maybe one of the best players in football on the other side of the ball with Chris Jones here. But the Niners got some of those guys as well, you know, with McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa. So that'd be a really fun game. But I've kind of sticking to my predictions throughout this year here, but I'm gonna stick with the Chiefs here. More confident with them, but this very well could be the Bengals. It very well could be the Bills. It could very well could be the Eagles or the Niners winning this thing. Those are the kind of the teams I'm looking at. You know, so it should be a lot of fun. You know, there were some surprises maybe a little bit last year, but kind of coming away every year thinking quarterback is that important, but also things kind of stay the same. Like these types of teams or these exact teams keep winning, and these teams that always lose keep losing, or these teams that are missing this, that, you know, that, or just one thing, quarterback play, offensive line play, or edge, pass rush, they keep on losing. So we kind of could expect some of the same things there, but there could be an upset. I really, basing it off the lines, the spreads, I only had one upset in the first round. That was Jags over Chargers. I could see the Bucs beating the Cowboys. I could see the Giants beating the Vikings, definitely. And I know I talked about some other things. You know, the Ravens-Bengals game could be interesting. You know, if Ravens get Lamar Jackson back, it's a division rival game. Who knows what could happen there? The Ravens are pretty good playing prime time. The Dolphins gave the Bills some struggles this year, even though they lost to them the last time. It felt like they had that game if Tua plays. So who knows? You might have an upset there. Yeah, I really don't think the Niners lose to the Seahawks, but yeah, it should be a lot of fun here, and we'll have you covered. We're going to have our Tuesday night weekly playoff picks with the boys. I'll have my score predictions on Wednesday. I'm going to rank every playoff team. I'm going to think of some other things to do as well. Going to have some off-season content out there. We're going to have that updated mock draft too coming, so really excited about this stuff. You make sure you follow us on Twitter because a lot of extra things and a lot of extra stuff going on there, interacting with you guys live, just live talk on there, just constantly always on Twitter. So make sure you follow that at Goodhouse NFL, link pinned in the comments, as well as our sponsors down there. So let me know your guys' playoff predictions in the comments, or if you want to talk to us about it on Twitter, that'd be pretty cool. So that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.